I saw what was reported in the newspapers. I talked to JT Steele at Elite XC, and he kind of told me what was later released via a press release by Jeremy Lappin, that they didn't give any type of incentive to Seth to not try his best for the fight, and anything else would have to go through the Florida Commission. But I had to check, of course, because we have a fight November 8th with them, and I was satisfied with the answer. The issue really is, just generally speaking, is you just want to make sure that the fighter gives his best efforts, and there's no incentive for him not to give his best efforts. So I see nothing wrong with the KO bonus. I see nothing wrong with the submission bonus, nothing wrong with the win bonus. So that's not the problem at all. So it's just a matter of whether or not, with any fight, not talking any fight specific, but you just want to make sure the athlete doesn't have any incentive not to try his best. And as far as I know, there's nothing there with respect to any fights that have happened that are in Nevada or elsewhere that I know of. But again, I'm sure if there's any type of issues to be investigated, the appropriate commission will take that action.
So if they do look into it, how do you go about an investigation? What are you looking for?
Well, again,
have you guys ever had an investigation?
We've never had to worry about that. But again, you know, comparatively speaking, you talk about, for example, in boxing. You know, there's if a promoter said, look, you knocked the guy out, I'll give you some extra money. Again, there's no issue there because there's no incentive not to try your best. But if someone said to a boxer, hey, we need the rounds, we need you to carry them, we want the fight to go the distance, then there could be an issue, because is the fighter going to have an incentive not to try his best? He has the fighter on the ropes in the 4th round, and he's not going to try to knock him out. That would be a concern. And the same thing would happen with mixed martial arts. So, again, you have to look at, was there an incentive for the fighter not to use his best efforts? And then also want to look, did the fighter, incentive or not, did he not use his best efforts? We've had fights here before in boxing where a fighter will come in and he won't even try. He's, you know, for whatever reason, he's just kind of a beaten man getting in the ring. He doesn't even try. Then that's a concern, because, you know, the fans are paying money. The opponent's training for a real fight, and the guy comes in and doesn't use his best efforts. Well, maybe he shouldn't be fighting at all. Now, of course, if you go beyond that and there's actually incentive, some sort of financial incentive for the fighter not to use his best efforts, it wasn't just, you know, he wasn't in the right frame of mind that day, then you have the additional concern of whether there was a improper influencing of the fighter with respect to his strategy. You know, you give a fighter a KO bonus, it's up to him to decide whether to take advantage of it. He can still try to go for a decision win, or he can try to go extra. There's plenty of fighters who, you know, they may be winning a fight, but they'll still go for the knockout because they want to please the fans, and then maybe next time they'll be getting paid a little bit more by the promoter. And again, you know, as long as you leave it in the hands of the fighter on whether or not to go for that knockout or that submission or whatever, that's fine. But if you make it financially advantageous to him not to try his best, then there's a problem there. As far as I know, that's never happened. But if it did, it's something we'd have to investigate. Not just fight night, but sometimes it happens the day. It can't happen fight night usually unless the guy's already weighed in. Here in this case, Seth had weighed in because he had the undercard fight. Usually you can't make a change fight night with a whole brand new fighter because he never weighed in, and you have to weigh in the day before the fight. So it usually happens more the day of the weigh-in or the day before the day of the weigh-in. And I can just tell you my own personal experience is the closer it gets to the fight, that means the replacement had less time to get ready for it, and I would be less inclined to approve a fight. If a fight's borderline, if it's a last-minute replacement, I'm going to say no because it was already a borderline fight, but now the opponent had less time to train. Who knows if he's even been in the gym the week of the fight. So I think you just make your ability to approve a fight is a little lessened by that fact. However, in this situation, Seth was already training for a fight that night and already weighed in. So I think, you know, again, I wasn't involved with that, but I think it'd be a little easier to approve that type of fight. But if it's a guy who, you know, hasn't fought in several months, who knows if he's been training or not, and all of a sudden the promoter wants to bring him in, you know, 2 days before the fight, I'd be more inclined to say no. I haven't had a situation like that, but I remember Mark Ratner was the executive director. There was a fighter, a female fighter. She was still a half pound over, but she had on the clothes, and you can assume the clothes by themselves weigh at least 8 ounces. So in that case, Mark allowed, you know, a deduction of half a pound. I would probably do the exact same thing.
What do you do in a case though where, you know, she was 42 3/4?
Yeah. I mean, then you gotta lose the weight. You know, even with the male fighters, you know, a lot of times when they're getting close to it, they want to stripped naked, I say, look, let's just weigh you with your shorts on first. Make sure, if you made the weight, you don't have to worry about stripping down, be a male or female. But it is a little more risky with the female fighters. You want to show all fighters respect, but it seems like the male fighters don't necessarily mind stripping down all the way as opposed to the female fighters. So you got to have a little common sense there, basically, again, out of respect for the fighter. And again, if they're within a half a pound, and you can kind of guess, especially the female fighter, because she's wearing both a top and a bottom, that you're going to at least get a half a pound out of there. But if it's more than that, if she's 2 pounds over or even a pound and a half over, she probably needs to go to try to cut some more weight and make the weight. It's only fair to the other fighter who's made the weight. So it's a little more delicate situation. But if need be, there'll be we may have a situation where you're going to have to. She's not going to make she's not going to make it. And she wants to try it naked. We'll do the best we can, like with the male fighters when they want to weigh naked to get every last ounce off their body. But hopefully the fighters don't put themselves in that situation, not so much for the nakedness of it all, but the fact that it's just very hard on their bodies. And you just hope these fighters lose weight. They all lose weight for the most part, and they know how to do it, but sometimes they start too long. They wait too long to start the weight cutting business, or they don't weigh themselves enough to know how far off they are until it's too late. So a lot of it isn't necessarily that how much they lose, it's how quickly they lose it. You should do it over time, of course. So we're doing what we can, and I know other commissions are too, to try to educate the fighters to lose weight the right way, to lose weight safely. And you hope that these fighters all learn from that. I'm sure Gina's learned more and more as she's getting involved here to lose weight in a better way, and hopefully we won't have that issue again.